Did you know that one wrong product update on Amazon can wipe out years of reviews and ranking history? In this video, I'll walk you through the exact process we use to update Amazon products safely without breaking a winning listing. This is something we deal with all the time, especially for older brands with strong rankings, good reviews, and a solid sales history. The reason this matters is simple. One wrong move during an update can trigger customer complaints, negative reviews, refunds, and in some cases even product suspension. So let's break this down properly. There are 4 questions to consider when updating an Amazon product. They will help you protect your reviews, rankings, and customer trust. Let's start with a very important one. The first question we ask, is this product the same in the Amazon's eyes? What you see as a small update might not match Amazon views of a new product. If you're changing the core functionality of the product, like the use case or the experience in a meaningful way, that's a new product. New ASIN, clean slate. But if you're updating things like packaging, visuals, wording, or making a small technical improvement, in many cases it can be treated as the same product. A good example is electronics. We recently worked on a product that generates around $100,000 in annual profit. The only change was switching from a micro USB port to a USB-C port. That's a very small update. The product itself didn't change. The experience also didn't change. We only changed the charging port. In Amazon's eyes, this can be the same product if the update is handled correctly. Which leads us to our next question. What about inventory separation? Let me clarify. This is not an option. It's a must. Imagine this scenario. You send new inventory to Amazon warehouse, but your old inventory is still there. They're both using the manufacturer's barcode. Don't be surprised when Amazon mixes that stock. That means that some customers will see USB-C in the images and copy, but receive a micro USB version. What happens then? Customers complain, they return the product, they leave negative reviews. And at that point, Amazon doesn't just look at the product, it starts looking at the pattern. We've seen situations where this can trigger investigations. In some cases, sellers are forced to remove all inventory from the warehouse. They have to start the entire process all over again. And sometimes it takes 2 weeks, but most often it takes 6 months. During that time, your listing is effectively dead. So what could be the solution? To forcefully separate old and new inventory. Here's how we do it at AMZBs. We create a new SKU and label it with an Amazon FNSKU. The FNSKU is tied to the SKU, which is tied to the same ASIN. Amazon allows that to physically separate the inventory in their warehouse. The old version stays under the manufacturer's barcode. The new version is labeled with Amazon's FNSKU. This step is mandatory if you want to protect your customer expectations. What also matters is how we handle timing, SKUs, and buy box control. During the transition, you can't have 2 versions of the product selling at the same time. If there's still old inventory in the Amazon warehouse, your new SKU needs to stay closed or at least price it slightly higher. This way, the old version always wins the buy box. Pay attention that Amazon often relists SKUs automatically every 7 days. You need to actively monitor these relists. The ideal moment to switch between versions is when the old one is almost sold out, 1 or 2 units left. Then it's time to close the old SKU and open a new one. That's when you update the images, the copy, the A+ content, and the video if you have one. From then on, every customer sees new version and gets exactly what they expect. But here's an important part that many sellers really underestimate. Even after the old version is sold out, Amazon can still find small amounts of old inventory through returns, reimbursements, or misplaced stock in the warehouse. This is why we never rush this process. We typically keep this separation in place for 6 to 12 months, depending on the product and its volume. The chance of a customer receiving the old product after the period is just extremely low, even for high volume products. Skipping this step is how you end up restarting the entire process from scratch. Quick note, if you're planning a product update or you want to follow this process, we have a free checklist that clearly states the steps you need to take and the timeline you should follow for setting up proper reminders and these steps to make sure you don't miss anything. Now, let's talk about variations, when they make sense and when they don't. In some cases, variation listings are a good solution. For example, you want to keep the micro USB version, but you also want to introduce a micro USB option for a slightly higher price. That can work. Or if you're building a good, better, best structure, you might have a standard version in basic packaging meant for personal use, slightly more premium version with a giftable packaging priced at $1 or $2 higher, and the premium version that features a unique color, shape, or licensed design for better pricing. In those cases, variations help segment demand. But if the product inside is essentially the same, if the changes are small, like switching from micro USB to a USB-C or changing the packaging color, it makes more sense to keep the same ASIN and go through a controlled update. The most important reason we prefer this entire process, even though it takes time, energy, and resources, is to prevent misuse and manage customer expectations. Amazon doesn't judge intent, they judge outcomes and patterns. And if the customer receives a product that is different from what they expected, even in small ways like a different charging port, a different cable length, or slightly different packaging, you should expect returns, negative reviews, and higher defect rates. Over time, that's what's putting your listings at stake. We've done this countless times in the past. And right now, we're in the middle of a large rebranding project for a major 8-figure toy brand. The entire packaging color scheme is changing. It's a rolling update that will take more than a year to complete. By following this process, customers receive only the product they purchased and expected. Reviews are protected and rankings are retained. Here is one bonus important part. Most brands that sell in DTC, they're almost always using manufactured barcodes because they sell in their websites, they sell to distributors, they sell to retailers, and labeling over the manufacturer's barcode with an FNSKU adds an additional cost, usually around 5 to 15 cents per unit, and that could add up to large amounts. That's why we don't keep the setup forever. After 6 to 12 months, once the risk of old inventory is effectively gone, we usually switch back to the manufacturer's barcode. At that point, customers have been seeing the new visuals and copy for months, their expectations are fully aligned, but something to remember. Every product update is different. One wrong assumption can cause permanent damage to your listing. If you're a brand planning a product revision, you want to avoid review loss or customer backlash, at AMZBs, we handle these transitions for established sellers. If you're not ready for that, I recommend click here and watching my next video on how to rank products on the first page of Amazon. It shows you how to turn a correctly updated product info into a first page listing without burning your margins. Don't forget to like this video, comment with any questions or topics you would like me to cover next, and make sure to subscribe. And in exchange, here's a picture of a cute baby koala. See you in the next one.